Save the date. The Nats Chat end-of-year podcast party will be Friday night, October 10th at Walters. Start time is TBD.
Wood waits from the left side of the plate. Waldrop delivers. Swing and a line drive into right center field. That's a base hit. Chasing it is Acuna to the warning track. Wood on his way to second, and he will slide in ahead of the throw by Acuna, which went all the way into the pitcher's mound, caught one hop by Waldrop, walking back toward the hill from the third base side. It's a double for Wood. It's his 37th double of the year, and the Nationals have plated 3 runs in the bottom of the 5th. It's Washington 3 and Atlanta nothing.
The 0-1 is swung on and belted high and deep to right center field. Forget that for Olsen. Right center field again. It's a home run. Number 28 for Olsen. Number 3 in this series. And Atlanta adds on. They lead 5-3 here in the 7th. It's almost like clockwork at this point for Olsen against the Nats.
And welcome to Nats Chat, along with MASNsports.com Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman, who was at Nationals Park. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. The Nationals are down to their final 9 games of the season, a 6-game road trip that'll be followed by a 3-game series at Nationals Park. The Nats on Wednesday concluded a stretch of 14 games in 13 days. The Nats at one point in the stretch were 6-4, but then came the last 3 days during which the Nats got swept by the Atlanta Braves in 4 games at Nationals Park, including a 9-4 loss on Wednesday to complete the 4-game sweep. The Nats in this game blew a 3-0 6-inning lead. The Nats over these 4 games against the Braves got outscored 31-10. The Nats in MLB's 2025 regular season now are 62-91, worst record in the National League East, second worst record in the National League, third worst record in the majors. The Nats run differential now is at -195, second worst run differential in the NL and in the majors. And the Nats now are 8 games behind the Braves for next to last in the NL East. So much for the Nats perhaps not finishing last in the division. But it is good to have you with us. You on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify can both rate this podcast and write reviews of the podcast. 5-star ratings are greatly appreciated. Positive reviews are greatly appreciated. These things help us out a lot. We thank you very much for doing them. Coming up later in the show, an update on the Nats AAA affiliate, the Rochester Red Wings, from the voice of the Red Wings, Josh Whetzel. Mark, you and I both predicted that the Braves would win the NL East for this season. That is not happening. The Braves are having a bad season, but they didn't look so bad in this series. This really was total domination by Atlanta of the Nats. And, it's a funny deal. The Nats actually had been playing pretty well, certainly by their standards this season. But then this series happened, and this series was like a grim reminder of the overall nature of this Nats season.
If I knew nothing about the Braves in 2025, except what I'd seen the last 4 days, I would think they're on their way to the playoffs, that they're at least right in the thick of the playoff race down to the wire. And of course, they're not. 4 days ago, we were talking about maybe there's a chance the Nats could actually catch them for 4th place. Well, guess what? That's not happening at all. This was complete domination by Atlanta in this series. Now, 2 of the games, the last 2 games, the Nats had a golden opportunity to win both of them. Obviously, the nightcap of the doubleheader, scoreless going into the 10th, and they couldn't pull that one out. And this one, they're up 3-0 after 5, and it just completely fell apart on them after that. This team is tired. This team sees the finish line. But as Miguel Cairo pointed out, the Braves were in the same situation. A bunch of their guys just played all 4 games of this series in 3 days. They weren't bothered by it. The games mean nothing to them as a team. It's really disheartening to see that from them. And I understand it's a young team. They're going through this for the first time. And one week they can look pretty good and the next week can look like this. But it's pretty disheartening to see them lose like this in these kind of games that, while they have their moments where it looks like it might be coming together, once it goes south, it's like they can't get it back. And this was a prime example of that. This was a close game and an encouraging game, actually, through 5 innings. And the final score would suggest that it wasn't any encouraging in any way.
Yeah, this stuff about the Nats being tired, look, I'm not trying to sound like a tough guy, but this is the job, okay? Like, this is the job. This is the sport. This is the season. This is the profession you have chosen. If you're going to get tired, if you're going to get sleepy, like, I'm sorry, then maybe find another line of work, okay? Like, this is what it is. This is what the job entails. And if you can't muster up energy to finish out a season, even if it is, a disappointing season as a team, that's a problem. And a lot of that is on you. I know people talk about, like, the managerial staff needs to motivate these guys, and there's some truth to that. But, in my opinion and in my experience, like, great athletes, they're self-motivators. They're self-starters. They don't need someone above them to tell them to get focused or to be fired up. Like, that should come from within. And to whatever extent this is a problem, it's a little disturbing that this is a problem. Even if these guys are young, like, you should be able to find it within yourself to get up for these games. And if that's not happening, I don't think that's a very good reflection on these players.
100%. And I agree, it's on them to do it. But we've noted this a few times. If it's not coming from the manager or the coaches, then it's got to come from within the clubhouse. Who on this team from day one was supposed to lead the way, show these young guys how it's done? It was a glaring weakness from the outset. And it's not a knock on guys like Josh Bell and Trevor Williams, who, in theory were kind of the veterans and try to show guys how to lead the way, Paul DeYoung. But you can't really do that for players in those situations that are signing here on short-term deals. And in a lot of cases, aren't performing at a level that says they're one of the better players on the team anyways. This team has sorely lacked leadership. And I think that comes into play, and you really notice it at times like this. Somebody who could be in there and keep these guys motivated, keep them going through a tough September. Because, yes, while the young guys should be able to get through it, it's on them to do that. They've never been through it before. They don't know how it's done. And who do they look to for guidance and just setting an example for them? There isn't anyone. And I think that's a huge problem. And I think it's a major issue that whoever's in charge of building the roster for next year has got to consider as they try to assemble a team in 2026 that can take a step forward.
Well, in year 5 of a rebuild, you'd like to think that some of the players acquired early in the rebuild might have ascended to positions of leadership by now, but that apparently is not the case. And that's another disappointing aspect of all this. Well, some of the Nats' young players did do well in this game, and that was good. Wednesday was James Wood's birthday. We say happy birthday to James Wood. He turned 23, and he had a good game. Good to see him have a good game, given how much he has been struggling. We, of course, have been talking about that so much. Nats interim manager Miguel Cairo had Wood back as the Nats' number one batter, and Wood on his 23rd birthday as the Nats starting DH and number one batter, 2 for 5 with an RBI double and a single. And multiple other key young Nats players had success in this game. Dylan Cruz, he is the Nats starting right fielder and number 6 batter, 2 for 4 with a double and RBI single and a stolen base. Robert Hassel III, he is the Nats starting center fielder and number 8 batter, 1 for 4 with an RBI double. Brady House, he is the Nats starting third baseman and number 9 batter, 1 for 4 with an RBI single. So good to see these guys do as they did. Regarding Wood, I guess him being back in the number 1 spot, the Nats are just trying to ignite something, find something. I mean, he's been going back and forth between number 1, number 2. Nothing's really made a difference here. I don't blame the Nats for trying different stuff, but I would assume that was the thought process here, just try something different.
Yeah, I think so. Coming off the day off that he had, see if that can get him going. And he did. I mean, he grounded out the first 2 times, but a solid RBI double, a good single. I wish, in a lot of ways, I wish he didn't come up in the 9th. Again, I almost wish that the rally had fizzled in his spot when it come up again, because he did wind up striking out. It would have been very nice to say that James Wood went through a game without striking out. That would feel much more encouraging to me than a 2 for 5 game with a strikeout at the end. But, it's the little things at this point. What are you going to do about it? It was better contact from him. And you just really hope, for his sake and for everybody's sake, that he's got one last little run in him over these final 9 games. I don't know if he will. I think he's among the players who looks tired and worn out. I'm very curious to see if Miguel Cairo gives him any more days off the rest of the way. The team has Thursday off, so that helps. Would he give them at least one of the games on this upcoming road trip off? I don't think it would be the worst idea in the world if they do that. I would just love to see him end on something of a high note, because otherwise he's limping to the finish line, and what was shaping up to be a great season for him is just going to end up being a good season for him.
Yeah, very much so. The Nats in this game did score a run in the ninth inning. We have talked about this. The Nats scoring meaningless runs in the ninth innings of blowout losses, garbage time runs, etc. As we are recording this, I had not realized this, and I suppose this could change with games later on Wednesday evening. Do you know the Nats are number one in the majors in ninth inning runs? That's remarkable, given how not so great this offense has been this season, but 80 ninth inning runs now for the Nats.
They've been that most of the season. I think certainly through the second half, I think they have led the way. And there have been a few game-winning rallies in there, but it's much more of the trailing by 5, score a couple to make it close, bring the tying run to the plate, and then don't come through variety. And it's pretty bizarre. They rank well in the first inning, and they rank well in the ninth inning, and in between, not so much. That's got to change. You need to see much more offensive consistency from them throughout a game. It feels like they only have 1 or 2 innings a night where it kind of comes together. And you saw that for sure in this one. It was the 5th inning. They did nothing prior to that point. And then you saw it in the 9th when it was too little too late.
It's funny because if you had to pick 2 innings in which to be really good, you probably would pick the 1st and 9th innings. So you would say, wow, the Nats are good in the 1st and 9th innings. They must have a good offense. No, like you said, they have not done much in innings 2 through 8. So the Nats for this game, 4 runs, 10 hits, which were 4 doubles and 6 singles, also 4 for 14 with runners in scoring position. But the Nats worked no walks, struck out 12 times. Hey, as the end of the Nats season approaches, a salute to one of the great sponsors of the Nats Chat podcast, Window Nation. If you want new windows, if you need new windows, contact Window Nation. Tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you. That helps out this podcast a lot, and that gets you a great deal on great Window Nation windows. In fact, now is the best time of year to get new windows. Whether you have old, drafty windows or cheap builder-grade windows, September is the perfect month to protect your home from cooler weather. And right now, Window Nation is offering its most popular offer: buy 2 replacement windows, get 2 for free. Plus, you won't pay any interest, pay any monthly payments, or pay any down payment for 2 years. 866-90-NATION or visit windownation.com and tell Window Nation that you want the deal that you heard about from Al Galdi on the Nats Chat podcast. With Window Nation, you get top quality windows from a trusted company, all at a reasonable price, because Window Nation knows that replacing windows is an investment, and Window Nation wants to make the investment affordable to you. And do not miss this great offer from Window Nation. For listeners of the Nats Chat podcast, the offer is good until September 30th. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and you pay nothing for 2 years. 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. That's 866-90-NATION or windownation.com. And tell Window Nation that Al Galdi from the Nats Chat podcast sent you.
And the 2-2 pitch, swing and a line drive up base hit into right center for Ozuna. That will score Baldwin. Albies on his way to the plate. Throw goes into second. Diving back into the bag, it's Hassan Kim. It's a single to right center. 2 runs batted in for Marcell Ozuna. And the Braves have plated 3 here in the top of the 6th inning. And this game is tied. The Nationals 3 and the Braves 3.
The Nats starting pitcher in this 9-4 loss to the Braves on Wednesday was Brad Lord. He was good, and he really should have ended up being even better. He officially allowed 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings, 4 strikeouts, 1 walk. He gave up 6 hits, which were a double and 5 singles. He threw a lot of pitches, but also a lot of strikes, 102 pitches, but 70 strikes, just 32 balls. And the shame of this outing was that Lord tossed 5 1/3 scoreless innings, but got charged with 2 runs in a 4-run 6 for the Braves. But overall, I thought another good outing for him. It just did not end in a positive way.
Yes, absolutely encouraging, and 3 straight now after those back-to-back really ugly games against the Yankees and the Rays. And that is huge, that at the end of a season in which he has thrown more than he ever has, and at the big league level, bouncing between the rotation and the bullpen, that he is still strong enough. We talk about guys limping to the finish line. It's not Brad Lord, and that's a huge credit to him that he has come back strong here. I did not love the way that Miguel Cairo deployed him at the end of this game. He gets through the 5th, 5 scoreless. He's already at 92 pitches. Now, the Braves fouled off, this is insane, 31 of his pitches. And there was a 10-pitch at bat against Michael Harris. The second ended in a strikeout. There were some really long at bats against him, a lot of foul balls. He had not thrown at any point this year more than 93 pitches. And so he walks off the mound at the end of the fifth at 92. And I'm thinking to myself, and I tweeted this, I just assumed his day was done. Why would you push him here at the end of the season to go any more than that? And then lo and behold, he comes back out for the sixth. And not just that, but nobody was warming at the outset of the inning. He ends up with an 8-pitch at bat before he gets Matt Olson to pop out. Then a quick single from Acuna, and now the bullpen finally starts up and running with Clayton Beeter trying to warm in a hurry. You saw Jim Hickey go to the mound to buy some time. He gives up another hit, the double to Drake Baldwin. That brings in a run. Now Riley Adams goes to the mound to slow things down, and then Miguel Cairo goes out there to remove him from the game. Now the explanation from Cairo is that they were down a bunch of guys in the bullpen coming off the doubleheader, playing for the 14th time in 13 days. I get that. I understand that you don't want to overtax any of those guys who've had to work so hard. But you're going to do that at the expense of a promising rookie starter who's already surpassed his highest pitch total for the season. I really did not like that. I know Lord is a strong kid. And he said that he felt like it was important for him to get up to 100 pitches for the first time in the big leagues. That was an achievement that he needed to get to. So be it. But I would have much preferred to see him pulled after 5, even if it meant whoever came in out of the bullpen blew it after that. I'd rather Lord leave on a high note. I'd rather preserve his arm at the end of a very long season for him. I just did not love the way that played out with him going back out there for the 6th.
When you are a guy who was taken in the 18th round of an MLB draft, you get treated differently than someone who was taken, say, in round 1. And to me, that treatment of Brad Lord is 100% a reflection of where he was drafted, because there's not a chance in the universe that this would have been done with a Mackenzie Gore or a Cade Cavalli or anyone like that. And, I don't know if you call it discriminatory. I don't know if it's just kind of the nature of the beast, but he's an 18th round pick. He's a guy who's been toggled between starter and reliever not once, but twice this season. And the circumstance that you just described, I think all of that is a part of this, of like, you take liberties with someone like this because you kind of consider it found money. And if he works out, great. If he doesn't work out, no one's going to be that mad at you. Even though that doesn't sound good when you say it out loud, I feel like that's the thinking, because you otherwise don't see that kind of treatment with other pitchers. I mean, again, just the fact that he this season has served 2 stints in the rotation and 2 stints in the bullpen. How many other Nats pitchers over the years have had a season like this? And he's a rookie, and they've done this with him. It's one thing like Eric Fetty went from starter to reliever, but that happened like over the course of time. In one season, 2 stints in the rotation, 2 stints in the bullpen. And it's such a credit to Lord to me that he's had the season he's had. 46 games, 17 starts, ERA 4.18, WHIP 130, 120, and 2/3 innings pitched. If not for those blow-up starts a few starts back, those numbers would look even better. He has an outside chance. I guess he'll probably make, 2 more starts, we hope, the rest of the way.
Potentially, what we're still waiting to hear, are they going to go with a 6-man rotation now the rest of the way, or a 5-man? So that could impact it depending on how they choose to go that way.
Okay, I was going to say, could he get the ERA under 4? I don't know. I guess it'll depend on how many starts he has. But the idea that he has an ERA in the low 4s with this volume of work and with the volatile nature of his usage, I think is a real credit to him.
It's absolutely been a huge breakthrough season for him in so many ways. And to do all that as a rookie who was not as touted, as you point out very astutely, it's been a big development. And I know the cynic might look at that and say, well, maybe this is the best he's ever going to be, and he's not really a big part of the future. But to me, he is until he proves that he's not. And right now, this is not an organization that can afford to take any young pitching for granted. You got this season out of Brad Lord. You hope that this is the start of something even bigger, and that this isn't just one of those guys who has a nice rookie season then fades away after that. There's a lot to like. I can tell you within the clubhouse, he's very well respected. They really appreciate what he has done for them this year. They know that the resume wasn't the same as some others, more highly touted, but he has earned his way up here through the minor leagues and done a really nice job this year. Even if it's just one more start, you hope he gets through it healthy and head home being really proud of what you accomplished, and the organization should be proud of what he accomplished. I know we've seen it with Jake Irvin, Mitchell Parker. You don't know for sure what's going to happen, but at this moment, at least, this is an organizational win for the Nationals.
So it's interesting that you bring up Jake Irvin and Mitchell Parker, because I had this thought with this game. Why is it that Lord is doing what he's doing, but Irvin and Parker are doing as they are doing? It's not like Lord has magnificent stuff. Lord puts guys on base, but Lord finds a way to limit damage. Lord throws strikes, and Lord, more often than not, has good or at least decent outings. He does not get ripped. He does not get shredded the way that Jake Irvin and Mitchell Parker have been getting shredded for months now. What is the difference? What is Lord doing that Irvin and Parker are not doing? What can Irvin and Parker perhaps learn from Brad Lord?
I was thinking the same thing as this game was playing out, because I mentioned the 2 bad starts that he had back-to-back at the end of August, and he's flipped it since then. We've seen others on this staff not be able to limit it to 2 bad starts, but it goes 6, 7, extends for weeks at a time. And in some cases, like Irvin and Parker this year, they don't ever get it back, and a whole season that once looked promising goes south. I think what Lord has shown that the other guys can learn from, if it's possible to do that. Number 1, he throws strikes. He doesn't get beat by the walk the way that others do. And number 2, he has kept the ball in the yard, and that avoids the big innings. His fastball is deceptive enough that he doesn't give up hard contact in the air, a lot more ground balls. We know Irvin has led the league in home runs. Parker has been burned by homers and walks and just the big inning. And Lord's done a really nice job of avoiding that stuff. I mentioned in this game, you got the 4th inning. It's the first time he gets in any real trouble. He's got 2 on and 1 out. He gets a ground out of Ha-Sung Kim, and then he's got to fight through a 10-pitch at bat with Michael Harris, and he sticks with it, and he strikes him out to get out of that. How many times have we seen an Irvin or a Parker get to that point, critical point in the game, 2 outs, you have a chance to get out of it, and not be able to do it? And Lord showed that he could do it there, and then come back and have a 1-2-3 fifth. So I think he is showing the way by throwing strikes, keeping the ball in the yard. I think those are the 2 biggest things. And whatever it is that he's got, I said he's got a lot of respect within the clubhouse. He's got grit. I know that's not what analytics people like to talk about. He's got it. Whatever that intangible thing is, he's got it, because he has outperformed his expectations throughout his career here in professional baseball, and he's showing that at the major league level as well.
Hey Nats Chat, here to tell you about Babbel. Not sure if you're aware, but this upcoming spring is going to be a busy one across the sport, as in addition to Cactus and Grapefruit League play, there will be the World Baseball Classic from March 5th to the 17th. Now, a few years ago, my wife and I, we flew down to South Florida. One day we saw the Nats play in West Palm, and the next day we went and saw Nicaragua play down in Miami. It was a heck of a lot of fun, and one of the things that worked well was that her and I like to practice Spanish, so it made it more of an authentic experience sitting in the stands. If you too want such an experience, then I recommend checking out Babbel. In addition to Spanish, they also offer Brazilian Portuguese if you want to root for Brazil in the WBC, or if you are really into the Netherlands squad, Babbel offers Dutch. Babbel is a great way to engage with native speakers who can help you nail those pronunciations as you work on the language. With over 16 million subscriptions sold, Babbel's 14 award-winning languages are backed by a 20-day money-back guarantee. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/natschat. That's spelled BABBEL.com/natschat.
House off first. The pitch. Swinging a ground ball slowly toward the middle. Albies gets to it. He has a play to first. It's in time to Olsen. Abrams is out. The game is over, and the Atlanta Braves complete a 4-game sweep of a series with the Nationals here at Nationals Park.
Well, the Nats relief pitching in this 9-4 loss at the Braves on Wednesday, quite bad. The Nats bullpen, of course, had been doing really well, but the bullpen has come back down to earth lately. 3 Nats relievers officially combined to allow 7 runs in 3 2/3 innings. Clayton Beeter officially allowed 2 runs in 2/3 of an inning. He and the Braves 4-run 6 issued a 1-out walk to each of the first 2 batters he faced. He gave up a 2-out Bases loaded, opposite field, 2-run single by Marcell Ozuna to right center field to tie the game at 3, despite Ozuna having been down at 1.02. And Beater then gave up a 2-out first pitch RBI single by Nacho Alvarez Jr. to left field for a 4-3 Braves lead, although Ozuna on the play got thrown out by left fielder Dalen Lyle in an attempt to advance to third base. Sauryn Lao, he made his Nats debut. He allowed 2 runs in 2 innings. Top of the 7th, gave up a 1-out solo homer by Matt Olson to right center for a 5-3 Braves lead. The homer going a projected 422 feet per StatCast. The Nats on September 3rd announced having claimed Lowe off waivers from the Seattle Mariners, and the Nats on Wednesday afternoon announced having recalled Lowe from AAA Rochester and having option reliever Orlando Ribalta to Rochester. And Shinosuke Ogasawara allowed 3 runs in 1 inning. He in the top of the 9th allowed 3 runs, gave up 5 singles and a sac fly. So Beater, Lowe, Ogasawara, all giving up multiple runs. And, for all of the talk of the Nats' improved relief pitching not long ago, and the relief pitching had been improved, no doubt, the Nats for this regular season dead last among 30 MLB teams in relief pitching ERA, 5.56. Now, that is better than where that number had been at, but even with the success over multiple weeks for this bullpen, the relief pitching numbers still are not good. And rather quietly, the last, 10, 14 days or so, the bullpen has started to struggle again. And now it feels like maybe 1 out of every 3 or 4 games, the bullpen does well, but we're starting to see these blow-up games again from Nats relievers.
Yeah, I think probably getting worn down, pitched a lot, as we've said. Whether it's a valid excuse or not, I think it's just a fact that's what happened here. And let's start with Beater in this one. So I mentioned Brad Lord takes the mound to start the 6th inning, and nobody's warming when the inning starts. And he has an 8-pitch at bat, still nobody warming. He then gives up a first pitch single to Acuna, and that's when Clayton Beater began to warm up. There was a mound visit. There's another 1-pitch at bat with the RBI double, another mound visit, and they slow played as long as they could, and then they signal for Beater to come in. Now, I asked him, did you feel like when you took the mound you were fully prepped for it or not? And he said he felt good, but then he did note that he thought his velocity was down a little bit at the start of the inning before it picked back up. Kind of his way of subtly saying, maybe I wasn't quite ready. Maybe they didn't give me enough time. So another part of that whole equation that I did not love how that all played out. Now, he still got to throw strikes, and he didn't, and he threw 7 straight balls to start the inning, walked 2 batters, got a strikeout, then gave up the couple of run-scoring hits that turned it all. With him, it's about throwing strikes. We know the stuff is good, but he's got to keep it over the plate. In this case, 2 walks to start the inning, and everything went downhill from there. In the case of Lowe or Lao, we're still not entirely sure the proper pronunciation of this one. He arrived about an hour before game time. Nobody got a chance to talk to him beforehand. This is a pitcher they acquired off waivers from Seattle just a couple of weeks ago. He was in the Dodgers organization for a long time until this year. He was originally a position player, a corner infielder who converted to the pitching position only 2 years ago. Was a starter mostly at AAA Tacoma this year. The Nats pick him up. They view him as a reliever, but as a multi-inning reliever. They figured, let's get a look at him. Let's see what he can do. Well, how did he do? Gave up a homer to the second batter he faced. Gave up another run in the 2nd inning. Not a whole lot to be excited about, but unusual circumstances. So let's see. At this point, you take a look at whoever you can right now to try to figure out if you've got something or not. But in the bigger picture, it has been a rough week for the bullpen. Just when it looked like things were headed down the right path. And you probably knew deep down they weren't going to be able to keep that up. They certainly haven't. You hope a day off does them some good and they come back Friday in New York feeling a little bit more refreshed and ready to go out and give their best.
Yeah, no game for the Nats on Thursday. Next up is the Nats' final road trip of the season, a 6-game road trip beginning with a 3-game series at the New York Mets. Game 1 Friday night, 7:10. Game 2 Saturday afternoon, 4:10. Game 3 Sunday afternoon at 1:40. We accept shout-out requests on the Nats Chat podcast. If you would like for us to deliver a shout-out to someone who you care about, email the man who runs this podcast, Tim Shovers, Nats Chat Podcast @gmail.com. He'll tell you what goes into the phenomenon that is the shout-out. And this is for a very special occasion. Happy early birthday to Adam Gerard. From his wife, Lisa, it has been a roller coaster ride of a 2025 for the family as their son, Max, was born this past February. But since then, a few beloved grandparents of Max have passed away. Despite all of this, Adam is on top of everything and manages to fit in Nats Chat each morning while feeding his son. Well, happy birthday, Adam, and we appreciate you listening very much.
Happy birthday to Adam. I can only imagine the emotions that you've experienced this season. The fact that we can help play a role in that, as we've discussed so many times, it's always humbling to hear how we become a daily part of people's routine through good times and bad. Hope you can enjoy your birthday with your wife and your beautiful new little baby boy.
Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can hit us up on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. We have a website you can check out, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat are courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast, and we'll leave you now with this update on the Nats AAA affiliate, the Rochester Red Wings, from the voice of the Red Wings, Josh Whetzel.
Infield playing him to pull to the right by a couple of steps. The delivery rammed the other way to deep left field. Rodin's going back, looking up. This is out of here. Schnell goes the other way for a solo shot on an 0-2 pitch, and the Red Wings have taken a 3-2 lead. Home run number 8 for Schnell. Give you a quick Red Wings update now, with the Red Wings wrapping up their season in Worcester, Massachusetts. A couple of Red Wings outfielders landed on the injured list recently. Andrew Pinckney went in the injured list September 13th, suffering a left shoulder injury, trying to make a diving catch in the outfield. If he doesn't play again this season, he will finish with a .269 batting average, 20 homers, and 34 stolen bases. The other injured outfielder is Christian Franklin, who landed on the injured list September 7th with an adductor strain. He's a guy the Nationals acquired from the Cubs at the trade deadline in the Michael Soroka deal. He hit .271 in AAA this year with a dozen homers, loads of walks, 79 of them, and at the time of his stint on the injured list, a .390 on-base percentage, one of the best on-base averages in the IL. The Franklin injury opened up a spot for Philip Glasser to get promoted from AA Harrisburg. Glasser is 10 for his first 26 in his first 7 games at the AAA level. Nick Schnell hit his team-high 21st home run of the season on Sunday. He's just the third Red Wing since 2005 to connect for 20 or more home runs in fewer than 100 games. Since joining the Red Wings on May 24th, he ranks second in the IL in home runs, while leading the league in RBIs in that time with 68 of them. Corner infielder Yo-Yo Morales joined the Red Wings the same day as Nick Schnell. His 89 hits in that time span since May 24th, ranked 5th in the International League in that time, and his 62 runs since May 24th are the most in the league. And on the pitching side of things, big left-hander Jake Eder made his Red Wings debut on Tuesday in Worcester. Eder came over to the Nationals in a trade from the Angels when the pitcher Luis Garcia and lefty Andrew Chafin were shopped to the Halos. Eder landed on the injured list shortly after being acquired from Los Angeles. He pitched 2 innings on Tuesday and allowed 4 runs on 4 hits. The stuff, though, looked very good. His fastball topping out at around 95 miles an hour. And Sauryn Lao, just promoted to the Nationals, pitched in only 3 games for the Red Wings after getting picked up off waivers from the Mariners. He worked 5 2/3 innings, allowing 1 run on 5 hits. With Tacoma, the Mariners' AAA affiliate, he had a 3.13 in the famously difficult-to-pitch-in Pacific Coast League. That 3.13 ERA came in 19 starts and 3 relief appearances. This is Josh Whetzel with this Rochester Red Wings update. Breaking ball hammered towards center field. Thompson's going back. He's on the warning track to the fence. It's gone! Yo-Yo Morales chucks the bat away, and the Red Wings win the ball game on Yo-Yo Morales' 3-run walk-off homer to the right of dead center field.